Good morning, family. Today is Tuesday, which is Teaching Tuesday. But first, let me plug Bountiful Blessings Women's Conference is coming up this Friday and Saturday. Friday is at 7:30 and Saturday is at 10 a.m. Yeah, and the topic or the theme of the conference is, Shh, my destiny is calling me. So, be on the lookout. And with that being said, today's topic of Teaching Tuesday is, your destiny is calling you, but will you pick up? Okay? Y'all ready? We're going to the book of Jonah. I'm going to try to read really fast, but these words be stumbling me, Now, the word of the Lord came to Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah arose to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish, so he paid the fare and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. So, let's talk about Jonah. Basically, what happens to Jonah is that God tells him, look, go to Nineveh, tell them what's up. You got to be real. I'm not pleased with them. And nobody wants to be a prophet or a servant of the Lord that has to bring this word that it's a word that'll do some good, but it might not sound good, Nobody wants to be that person. So when God tells Jonah to do that, that's basically the first phone call. Your destiny is calling, but are you going to pick up? And Jonah said, nah, baby. I'm hitting decline. And he said, I'm going to go to Tarshish, which means contemplation or examination. So Jonah, he wanted to get away, to do some thinking, some contemplating, but more so, he wanted to hide from his calling. So Jonah hits decline, gets on the ship, and the Lord, he's like, oh, you going to hit decline? Okay, sends out this storm that almost breaks the ship in half. Mind you, he on the ship with these other people, and these folks are scared. They scared. So they praying to their gods, as the Bible said. They're praying to their gods, and it's like, Lord, somebody help us. Okay? So then they're trying to figure out who is causing this. So they figure out it is Jonah. This is Jonah's fault, because he is running from the Lord. Which, he told them that he was running from the Lord. See, sometimes you just need to shut up. Just shut up. So the guys on the boat go and find Jonah. And Jonah's like, well, you know what? Just throw me in the ocean, because clearly that is what God wants. Now, I want you to realize that even though Jonah is hitting decline on his destiny, God is still going to use that. See, those men were crying out to their God when the sea was shaking the ship up. But now that they realize who the actual Lord is, they talk to him and say, God, please forgive us before we throw Jonah into the sea. So after they throw Jonah into the sea is now calm. These men on this boat just witnessed a miracle and now realize just who God is, even though, you didn't hit decline on your destiny. So at this point, Jonah gets swallowed up by this whale. Now, I'm sure Jonah is in this well realizing that, wow, my God is awesome, because I probably should be dead. But sometimes when you run from God, he's going to put you into this place where you need to be absolutely alone with no distractions. I mean, you're in the belly of a whale. Who in there with you? Nobody. It's just you and God. It's this point where you can talk to God and you can actually listen too. So once Jonah finally comes to his senses, God speaks to the whale. The whale spits him up. And once again, God makes that call and says, hey, you need to go to Nineveh, speak against it, because they're being nasties. They're being little nasties. And Jonah finally decides to answer and not hit decline. So Jonah then gets to Nineveh. He says what God told him to say. And the people in Nineveh are like, well, okay, we need to get this together. So they go on this fast. And God spares them. Here's the thing. When God has placed a calling on your life, it ain't just about you. It's not about you. If Jonah did not come to his senses and go, you done put all these other people's lives at risk. Realize that when you decide to decline your destiny, you're holding up so many other people, it ain't even funny. It ain't even funny. The Bible even made mention to talk about the hundreds of thousands of people that lived in Nineveh. If Jonah would have just kept on hitting decline, imagine all these people that would have lost their lives because Jonah decided that I'm going to run from God. And one of the greatest lessons we need to take from Jonah is some of the stuff that we go through is totally self-inflicted. God told you to go do this and you decided, well, you know what? I don't feel like doing that today, so I'm going to go over here and do this. And now we are in a whale. I can't swim, so I'm panicking. Like, I would have been panicking. I don't know how he was in there talking to God, but you know what? That's probably all he could do, because I'd have been panicking. Like, Lord, help me, Jesus. But anyway, some of this stuff is really self-inflicted. Is running from God really worth all this other things? You have to go through all this unnecessary tribulation because you decided to be disobedient. That is wild. So for the last time, your destiny is calling you, but are you going to answer the call? Are you going to hold everybody else up? Or are you going to be obedient and walk this thing out because you know that God is going to cover you in whatever that he tells you to do? Or are we going to hit decline and go through all these extra self-inflicted trials and tribulations? Are you going to sink or are you going to swim? What you going to do? Your destiny is calling you. Pick it up.